So, Mike, you're up first, right?
Yes.
I think the speaker will want to do this. Jim, you good?
We're good. Good to see you in person. Thank you.
Anything new?
What's up this week?
He's got a long family history.
Good morning. I'm Mayor Michael Petrino, and I'd like to welcome all of you to New Milford, the birthplace of Bergen County. Today we've been honored by the Governor's Office to host a press conference regarding the Anchor Property Tax Relief Program. Some people who are not speaking today, I just want to recognize that are here. We have Assemblyman Chris Tully, we have Assemblywoman Lisa Swain, our County Executive Jim Tedesco, Mayor of Teaneck Michael Pagan, and most of my council's here. So I have Council President Randy Duffy, Councilwoman Hetty Grant, Councilman Ira Grotsky, Councilwoman Thea Saraki Hurley, and Councilwoman Lisa Sanhusen. So I wanted to say this, as a mayor, I see firsthand some of the struggles residents have with property taxes. We, as the governing body, often must make really tough decisions with our budgets to keep the tax burden as minimal as possible, and it's getting harder and harder. This year, like us, municipalities across the state are facing significant increases in services that are beyond their control, including garbage disposal, sewage waste, cybersecurity, utilities, and health insurance. All of these impact our taxpayers. I am very grateful to the governor and to the New Jersey legislator for enacting the Anchor Property Tax Relief Program. I believe it'll go a long way in making tough decisions in the personal budgets of hardworking New Jersey homeowners and residents a little bit easier. And at this time, it is my distinct privilege to introduce the governor of the great state of New Jersey, Phil Murphy.
Thank you. Thank you. Please remain standing. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Good morning, everybody. It is a real treat to be here. And Mayor Mike, thank you so much for hosting us and for your gracious introduction to you and council members and all the other dignitaries to whom you referred. An honor to be here. So we were looking this up. New Jersey has 3 municipalities with the word Milford in their names. Now that's probably in part a byproduct of the fact that we get 500 and something municipalities, and at one point or another the dictionary ran out of words. But only one with the name Milford can claim a Grammy Award winner, a Tony Award winner, 2 NFL players, and a former U.S. Senator. And I said to Mayor Mike privately, this is one of my favorite communities in the state, and it's great to be here. And the only one with the word Milford in it is New Milford. So thank you for having us. I won't repeat homage, but Jim, Lisa, Chris, members of council, mayor, and honor Joe, obviously, we'll hear from you. I do want to add two other names to our star-studded lineup this morning. Our great treasurer, Liz Moyo, is in the house. Liz. And I could not ask for a better partner in leadership of our government, the Speaker of the General Assembly, Craig Coughlin. So the deadline for homeowners and renters to apply for the Anchor Direct Property Tax Relief Program closed at midnight last night. And Liz and team tell me that as of this morning, we are proud to say that a total of nearly 1.7 million New Jerseyan homeowners and renters are signed up and in the queue to get their Anchor relief. That number's likely going to creep somewhat higher because there's a bunch of stuff in the mail, we believe. And remember that 1.7 are the entities. So you could have, we have 6 people who live in our house. We think that this is going to cover somewhere 4.5, 5 million residents of our state, roughly half of the entire population. And remember, for homeowner families with incomes up to $150,000, that means the relief will be $1,500. And renters, by the way, if you own a home and you make up to $250,000, it's still $1,000. And if you're a renter making up to $150,000, it's $450 in your pocket. By any measure, this is real relief, and especially for middle class, working families, seniors, Anchor is going to effectively take away years of property tax increases. So we did the math, Mike. In New Milford, Anchor effectively takes average property taxes back to levels many haven't seen since 2016. And I think, Jim, in Bergen County more broadly, on average, it goes back to 2015. So that's, either 7 or 8 years. I think on average in the state, it's going to be 10. So this is real. We're done talking around this, and we're doing something about it, all of us together. And this is going to, I think importantly, I mentioned renters. For tenants, it's going to ease the burden of recent rental increases, which have been pretty steep over the past year or two. I think even more importantly, because in New Jersey, we're really good at one time, wow, we're going to do this, and we promise you we're going to do it again forever and for always. I think the even more important news is that in the budget I proposed yesterday, we would fully fund Anchor again for a second year. So this is something that's going to be part of. And I have to give Craig and Joe and Lisa and Chris and our other allies in the legislature, because we may have a good idea or they may have a good idea, but we have to do this together. I can't sign a budget till it gets voted on and lands on my desk. Can't sign bills unless they're voted on and they land on my desk. But together with the legislature, we will have delivered in back-to-back years through direct property tax relief plus or minus $4 billion. As our son Sam used to say, that's billion with a B. On top of that, the budget that we proposed would also remove application barriers and nearly double the income eligibility level for the very popular Senior Freeze program. And that would now cover senior homeowners with incomes up to $150,000. And that means, by the way, slightly more than 50,000 more seniors will now be eligible for Senior Freeze who were not eligible before. So again, while we celebrate the first round of Anchor relief becoming a reality, our work is far from done. There's a lot more we are doing and we're going to do to alleviate the stress that property taxes put on our residents. When you look at the affordability challenges in our country, and certainly in New Jersey, at the top of the list in our state is property taxes. And we're going to redouble our efforts in the second year of Anchor to ensure that no eligible family, whether they own their home or whether they rent it, leaves Anchor relief on the table. We had a very high batting average this year relative to our expectation. For whatever reason, whenever you put programs like this out, not everybody always takes up on it. But relative to, I think Liz should agree, relative to any historical measures, we batted very high on this program. We want to bat, and we will bat even higher next time around. Again, for so long, both parties have been talking around property taxes, and finally, thanks to a lot of people in this room, we're finally doing something about property taxes to make this great state more affordable for our hardworking families and seniors. With that said, I gave her a big shout out yesterday presenting our budget. No one deserves more credit for this program or to get our state into a fiscally responsible place at long last. Again, please help me welcome our great treasurer, Liz Moyle.
Morning, everybody. As the governor just announced, 1.7 million New Jerseyans just about are now signed up to benefit from one of the most robust property tax relief initiatives in decades. Treasury has been incredibly proud to assist in the rollout of this historic program. Providing financial relief to our residents is a fun job, but believe it or not, it is not necessarily an easy job, as hard as that may be to believe, particularly when it includes trying to reach an entirely new group of residents that the governor and legislature made Anchor available to. And that's the hundreds of thousands of New Jersey renters who now receive relief under Anchor. And I cannot say enough about the efforts of our Division of Taxation over these past 6 months to make the governor and legislature's vision a reality. Since Anchor's launch in September, we've prioritized ensuring that every New Jersey resident is aware of this program through print, television, and billboard advertising, in-person outreach throughout the state, and social media. It has been an all-hands-on-deck labor of love for the entire department, but for taxation in particular, as anyone would have seen if they had been at taxation headquarters this week and watched as staff worked through the day and into the night to ensure New Jerseyans could file for their Anchor benefits. Hundreds of thousands of calls were processed throughout this campaign, tens of thousands of emails received since early January alone, thousands of New Jerseyans assisted in person, and a robust social media campaign in both English and Spanish, resulting in over 171 million impressions. And I'd like to just give a shout out to two of our taxation employees who helped spearhead this tremendous outreach effort on behalf of the governor and the legislature, and they're here with us this morning. Marita Scarata, she's the deputy director at the Division of Taxation, and the reassuring, informative voice on several of the Anchor call-in shows. And Tina Quinones, who helped coordinate our marketing efforts and outreach events. I'd like to thank them, together with Deputy Treasurer Aaron Binder, who's also with us here today, and the hundreds of taxation employees who have worked so tirelessly to ensure that as many New Jerseyans as possible will be able to benefit from this extraordinary property tax relief initiative. As the governor said, we're going to continue to work to make this program even more robust going into the next year, but this has been a significant step in our continuing efforts to ensure that New Jersey and New Jersey remains affordable for all those who call this state home. And we look forward to further implementing the new relief that the governor's proposing in the fiscal year 24 budget for seniors and for families with children, and the continued operation of the Anchor Property Tax Relief Program. So thank you very much.
Liz, thank you so much for everything you do, including getting our fiscal house in order in addition to delivering this historic relief. He was kind enough to allow me to borrow his chamber yesterday to deliver my budget address. A chamber, by the way, I mentioned this yesterday, I've not been in the State House since I've been governor. We're finally going to move back in a couple of weeks. And it is the second longest continuous State House in the country, I think behind only the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Business has been conducted there since 1792, a couple of years before Jim and I were born. And lots of really cool things and cool people have worked in that building. And Craig, I can't thank you enough. You're high on that list, but thank you for hosting us so graciously yesterday. Please help me welcome the great Speaker of the General Assembly, Craig Coughlin.
That's good. Well, you're a good house guest, so we'll invite you back. By the way, that's a real thing, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, there is actually a letter that comes and asks if the governor can use the assembly. Yeah, one of these years I'm going to say no just for the heck of it. But the truth of the matter is that it is a real thing. It is actually a thing. It's one of those kind of wonderful governmental things that we do. But thanks everybody for being here. It's so nice to be here with Chris and Lisa, and thank you for all the work you have done to help make this a reality. We all know how important property taxes are to the people of New Jersey. It's first every time you ask them about what's at the top of their list. We know the challenges that you face, Jim, at the county level. And Mayor, thank you, by the way, for hosting us today, that you face here. And every time you turn around, it seems like there's a new challenge, right? We had the pandemic, and now we turn around and inflation is all of a sudden here. And that puts pressure on everything that you do. And so last year when we were talking about how we go about doing this, and the governor is spot on right when he says that for decades people have talked around about it, we decided to get right at it. And we decided to put it on steroids. $2 billion is an enormous commitment to what we do. And in fact, I'm going to give you a little fact that most of you probably would get wrong if I asked you this at a bar and you'd have to buy me a drink. What percentage of the budget goes to property tax relief in one form or another, an anchor, school aid, all that stuff? Most people will tell you in the single digits. It's 48%. 48%. Because we care about that. And this year, and last year when we were putting this together, we reached out to renters. For the first time in 12 years, they were able to get some relief for that. And that reached because we really care. And I think that's what this means. And it's great to hear that the governor included it in the budget again. We're going to make sure that people reach out. I don't know about you, but how many people here have heard from somebody who threw away their PIN back in October? In fact, I had calls already this morning coming up here on the way here, so talking about how, yeah, I reached out to my son who found out yesterday that it ended at midnight and he was on there. Is there anything we can do about it? Well, you know, we advertised, we extended it, and we're going to make sure that people have the chance to participate in this because it really is a program that can really affect people's lives. $1,500 is real money. $250,000 as an up-end limit means we're really reaching out to all people in the middle class and giving them the opportunity to succeed. So what that really speaks to is our commitment. To make New Jersey more affordable, to recognize what matters to the people of New Jersey, what's first and foremost in their mind, and what makes this kind of thing important to them. So I think the governor has launched us off to a great start here in the budget yesterday, and we're going to continue to work on that and build on that, and make sure that the people of New Jersey know that we're on their side, and what matters to them matters to us. This is a great step. The numbers are when you think about half of the population being able to be affected by this in one way or another, that makes it an extraordinary program. I'm not sure that there are too many programs that do just any more than that. So onward we go. Lots of congratulations, an extraordinary treasurer whom I had the privilege of serving in the Assembly with in Liz Moyo, a governor who cares and who's making commitment and help making a change, my colleague in the Senate, Joe Lagana, and of course my appropriations chair, my science, technology, and information chair, and Chris Tully. Yeah, we couldn't think of more words to add in, so we went with that. But to your leadership, thank you for that. To everybody here who has make a difference, this is a great program. We're going to continue on it. It's going to matter to the people of New Jersey. Proud to be with you today. Thanks so much.
Craig and I are working on legislation that would eliminate multiple word committees. I signed an executive order last week eliminating acronyms. Thank you so much, Speaker, for your leadership. We wouldn't be where we are without you. I now know enough to be dangerous. This is our 6th year doing this. It's actually our 7th budget. We forget we had 2 one year in the lowest points of COVID. I talk to other governors around the country. I'm the chair of the National Governors Association, so I've got a window that's somewhat unique. I think we do budgets incredibly well in New Jersey, even when we're not agreeing. It's a process that I mentioned yesterday, we're going to now go back and forth for 122 days. We hope, actually, I'm hoping maybe, Craig, 110 maybe, not taking it right to the wire, but it's a really good process. Liz will have to sing for her supper in front of committees and update on revenues and answer a lot of questions. Our cabinet secretaries go before. We have a lot of offline interactions, and it's not just with legislators. Jim's got a ton of stuff in the budget that's really important to Bergen County, and he's going to want to make sure there's a lot in it already, but he'll want to have a voice in that process. Mike, you as a mayor, Joe and I were just talking about a different mayoral exchange yesterday. Stuff is in this thing that's going to matter to you, and your voice will be heard. I think it's a really, really good process, and that does not mean it isn't difficult or it isn't at times frustrating, because it is for all of us. But at the end of the day, we do right by our taxpayers, and that, to me, is the most important thing. So representing the rocking 38th Legislative District, on behalf of Lisa Swain and Chris Tully in the Assembly, please help me welcome another great New Jersey guy and leader, Senator Joe Logano.
Thank you, Governor. I appreciate you inviting me to come up here and speak, and also for hosting this event in District 38 in New Milford. I want to thank my colleagues, Chris and Lisa in the Assembly, our County Executive, Jim Tedesco, Mayor Mike, and the rest of the council, Liz, our treasurer, Speaker Coughlin. I'll give a shout out to our Senate President, Nick Scutari. This program is, as you've heard from prior speakers, just an amazing thing for our taxpayers in New Jersey. I served in the Assembly for 2 terms under the prior governor, and I do remember past budgets that were, I think you used this term yesterday, Governor, put together with chewing gum and duct tape or Scotch tape, and those were tough budgets, full of gimmicks. They were, again, to quote you yesterday, built on a foundation of sand and not rock, and they were literally looking under mattress covers, cushions for money. And just to fast forward all these years later, through a pandemic, all this uncertainty, and we're sitting at a time where the state's fiscal health couldn't be better, where the governor's proposed budget yesterday, despite funding all these wonderful programs and continue to fund additional programs, has a $10 billion surplus that we're looking at. I mean, just unheard of what our fiscal house is, the order that it's in right now and the place that it's in right now. Credit upgrades instead of 11 credit downgrades from the last governor. These are all important facts that our residents should know, because while we're keeping our fiscal house in order, at the same time we're giving back billions of dollars in tax benefits, direct property tax relief. And the speaker's right, when we go knocking on doors and talk to our residents, property taxes is always a big deal, especially here in Bergen County. So when we are able to talk to our residents and say we're delivering to you this amazing tax benefit that we funded this year, we intend on funding next year, and hopefully fund in the future, which I know we'll all fight for, it's just a tremendous thing. It's really unprecedented what we're doing here as far as tax relief. Other people will jump up and down and cry and say we're not doing enough for the residents of New Jersey as far as tax relief is concerned, but no one has ever proposed billions of dollars in direct tax relief, and that's what we're doing. So I just really want to thank all of those involved, our legislative leaders, the governor, for really having our backs, especially here in Bergen County in District 38, who has fared very well under Governor Murphy, and has always taken time out to make sure that we always had what we needed, in good times and in bad. And I just really want to, thank all of us, because it does take all of us to get this accomplished. And I look forward to working with the governor's office and legislative leaders to make sure that this budget gets through quickly, way before July 1st. You have an ally and friend in me, and I just want to thank you, Governor. Thank you, everyone.
I just said to Joe so we can all be on the shore on July 1st. 2 quick comments before we wrap, other than to say deep thanks to Mike and council and to all the dignitaries here today. First thing, there's a misleading, every year a headline comes out just about this time, and it came out this week. It's a misleading assessment of property taxes when you've got something like Anchor in place, when you've got senior freeze programs. And the headline goes something like, and I think this is about what it was this week, property taxes went up from $9,300 on average to $9,400 and something on average. That's all before any of these rebates and freeze programs. Property taxes for most New Jerseyans, because of this program, will go down dramatically. As I mentioned earlier, on average, it'll go back to the year 2013 tax year. And so folks need to remember that those headline numbers don't include literally billions that are actually taking property taxes down. And the second point to underscore Joe's very gracious and accurate words, we're doing this without giving up what is so dear to this state and the reason why people and businesses want to either come here or stay here. So we're doing all of this while also adding in K through 12 school funding, $830 million more. Since I became governor and working with Craig and team, we've increased K through 12 funding by $2.6 billion. Pre-K, we're on a road toward universal pre-K. This year's budget, $110 million more than last year, a total of just about $1 billion for pre-K. And you know how much it costs for childcare. You know what it means to have a kid learning at the age of 3 or 4 as opposed to 5 or 6 in terms of their life. I could go on and on and on. The bumper sticker for our state is and always will be the #1 state in America to raise a family. And we will never veer from that. And we're going to do everything we can to make that not only come to life, but to make the deal around it be a reasonable one. And the Anchor program is one of many, but it's the biggest. It's the anchor of our property tax and affordability obsession. So with that, Mike, thank you again to you and council, Joe, Craig, Liz, Jim, Lisa, Chris, to everybody here. Thank you so much for hosting us. Be well. Jim, thanks for coming.